welcome to a fresh episode of Business Morning on Channels Television. You want to know the details of business issues? Then let's do this together in the next 55 minutes. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Let's start as usual at the oil space. Prices opened slightly higher after falling sharply the prior session, and worries that continued COVID-19 lockdowns in China would eat into demand. And as the US dollar rose to a 2-year high, Brent crude futures were $102.57, and that's adding 25 cents. And U.S. West Texas Intermediate contracts climbed to $98.70, and that gained 16 cents. Both contracts had settled down around 4% yesterday, with Brent down as much as $7 a barrel in the session, and WTI dipping roughly $6 a barrel. In China, lockdowns to counter COVID-19 in Shanghai have dragged into the 4th week. Meanwhile, orders for mass testing, including in Beijing's largest shopping district, have prompted fears of other Shanghai-style lockdowns. The hit from Chinese lockdown is over 1 million barrels a day, and the testing of 12 districts over the next 5 days will determine the next major move for crude prices. And moving away from that, we come to Nigeria. MTN Nigeria Communications PLC has notified the Nigerian Exchange Limited and Investing Public of its 127 billion naira commercial paper issuance under its registered 150 billion naira commercial paper program. The company says it is deepening the yield curve for technology and telecommunications operators for discovery of price of financial instruments.
It is a record-breaking event, first of its kind. MTN Nigerian Communications PLC is signing its 127 billion naira bond under its registered 150 billion naira commercial paper program. The issuance comprises 2 tenors, a 184-day issuance priced at a 7.50% yield, and a 254-day Series 2 issuance priced at an 8.50% yield.
We recently emerged in December as one of the 2 winners of the 5G spectrum auction.
The CEO of MTN Nigeria, Carl Oluto Kuntoriola, says the transaction will go into the record book as the largest commercial paper issuance in Nigeria.
The success of this issuance is a clear demonstration of the strength and acceptance of the MTN brand and trust in our governance, placed by the investor community in our company's leadership, and our strong operational and financial performance and the corporate strategy which we've laid out.
Stanbic IBTC Capital Limited is the lead arranger and dealer. There are other investment banks and partners in the room.
Every time we gather in this room, the company is breaking a record. And today we're gathered at the signing ceremony for the largest CP issuance in Nigeria. Thank you for allowing us to be part of this journey. We see ourselves as partners.
With pen to paper, the transaction becomes a done deal, and the telecommunications company says it is de-risking its funding cost away from tech and telco sector risk as market leader.
One of the things we've been trying to change is the narrative around MTN, working with local and different partners. So from time to time, we open these opportunities to refresh and try to work with the best of the best. So we've always had this agenda of deepening the market, also deepening the ecosystem. That also requires us to see different things that are taking place in there.
The issuance is in line with the company's strategy to diversify its financing options, with the proceeds deployed towards working capital and general corporate purposes.
Well, that was an indication that it's time to go into the commodities market space. And today we start with gas, among other things. Average price of gas in Nigeria across the country, it's for 12.5 kg cylinder of liquefied petroleum gas, which most people call cooking gas, stood at over 7,000, very close to 8,000, even though I think it's gone more than this. Just last week, I got 8,500. So that's according to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics. The amount indicates a 2.28% increase, more than what was paid in February, just within a month. And I can tell you, it's more than this at this time. Well, we have to discuss this and other related issues in the commodity space. Longi Dafo, an analyst with financial derivatives company. Now, hello, Longi, good to see you.
Pleasure as always. Yeah.
So what's going on with our gas again? I thought we had solved this problem when the government said all the supplies of NNLG will be used for domestic demand. But it seems we're getting out of that zone again. What's going on?
Yeah, gas prices are still rising, unfortunately, and it is largely to do with what's happening globally. As we know, energy prices are on a tear on the global stage, and this is really affecting countries such as Nigeria who do import gas. Although we do have the means to produce gas locally, we're not producing enough to satisfy local demand enough. And this is what's really affecting. So there's a sort of an imbalance between the demand and supply of gas available in the Nigerian market. And this is really what's contributing to the upward push in gas prices that we are currently seeing.
But we do have the potential to produce
we do have the potential. Exactly.
As usual, we're talking about potential again.
Yeah, potential, missed or lost potential, unfortunately. But yeah, we do have the potential, but then we are not currently meeting that. And the gas prices the upward push in gas prices that we are currently seeing is happening across the nation, but then to varying degrees. So certain parts of the country are seeing higher or rather price differentials from other parts. So parts possibly in the northwest or northeast might be seeing higher gas prices than parts in the south.
Because what's the reason behind?
Yeah, so it's a combination of different things, mainly possibly logistics costs, transportation costs, retail costs. It could be any manner of different logistics-based costs. Yeah.
And in the midst of this, our crude production is dropping.
Yeah, crude production is dropping, and this is largely to do with our oil rigs. So OPEC recently released data in its April report showing that April month report showing that Nigeria has the number of operational oil rigs in Nigeria have dropped by about 32% or so since 2019. So we had about 16 operational oil rigs in 2019. Now we have just about 10. And this number has continued to
what's happening to them?
Yeah, so again, it's a mixture of operational issues, mismanagement, unfortunately.
What about the issue of vandalism?
Yeah, so vandalism is, of course, also affecting it, vandalism and theft. And this is really also affecting the amount of production that Nigeria is able to do. I believe our OPEC oil production quota is closer to about 1.8 million barrels per day. But now here we are only able to produce about 1.37, 1.35.
Now I know we're doing 1.2.
1.3, 1.2 range. And this is really affecting potential revenue, potential export earnings, and of course supply to the Nigerian market as well. Yeah.
I wonder what it will take. I wonder what it will take to solve this problem of oil thefts, you know, vandalism. I know the other time the EU a representative of the EU came in Nigeria, spoke with the GMD of NNPC about how in the midst of the wants, you know, the supply gap of gas, you know, how we can do the pipelines. But, you know, conversations I've had around that is even if the pipelines are, you know, installed and built now, what about the security of that? We are not even able to secure the crude oil. Then why should we invest in pipeline? You know, I just wonder what it would take to get these things working.
On point. I do believe the NNPC Managing Director, Mele Kyari, he did recently come out and say that we should see measurable outcomes within the next 2 to 3 weeks or so in terms of gas security and protection of our pipelines.
But we're not seeing it. Want to see it.
We're not seeing it yet. And then I do think one thing that we should keep in mind is that, okay, with the recent Russia-Ukraine crisis and the shift away from Russian gas, more countries, especially in the EU, like you've mentioned, are looking to invest in the Nigerian and other alternative markets.
Algeria has filled in some of those gas now.
They are already filling in.
Yes, they have.
So we could potentially see, as more interest floods into the Nigerian market and more investments come in, we could potentially see more security for these pipelines. We could potentially see the infrastructure developed more. So the future isn't completely bleak, to put it that way.
It's not, but I mean, okay, for now, we also have the election, which is a factor. Some investors do not want to go all out there when a country is close to election period because of the uncertainty, especially in a case like this. We know it's the present administration are done with their 2 terms, so we don't know. We have how many candidates vying for posts of one office, you know, so all the uncertainties connected to that, and then the fact that it doesn't look like, you know, we have an implementable, realistic solution yet. Because we are still, our production is still dropping in the crude area. There's still a lot of theft. Even the government itself is talking about thefts and vandalism. So I don't know who is going to solve this problem.
Yeah, it is a very serious problem, and that's putting it in the most mild terms. But I do believe there is upside. There's very much hope, to put it that way. There is very much upside for growth. There is very much upside for development in the area, and especially in terms of security. But then what it now takes to get there is what leaves to be desired. So we do hope, we do foresee that possibly, as the MD might have said, that we will see measurable outcomes within the next 3 weeks. So let's hope that those measurable outcomes do, in fact, happen. So, yes.
And we do see them.
Yeah.
All right. So another consequences of the war going on in Ukraine is inflation. And then, of course, we have food inflation, because the Black Sea, a lot of the transportation of grains and food that's supposed to go through there has been stopped. Ukraine and Russia, we don't get their production. Russia, mostly because of the sanctions. Ukraine, I guess, I mean, they've had a lot of their infrastructure destroyed in the war. And so we see food inflation at its peak, you know, compared. But we also see that the South, global South, seems to be the hardest hit. How come?
Yeah, it is a combination of different factors. So I do think it goes back to the, shall I say, the mentality in terms of food exports that we have here in the global South, which Africa is also included, of course. So what we typically see is that there is more interest placed on export commodities rather than food staples. So we typically see African countries focusing on the export of cocoa and other major commodities rather than and choosing to import food staples, wheat, rice, and maize, and so on. And this is really taking a toll on us right now. So, because these staples are what, so just to add some context, wheat, rice, and maize account for about almost half of global food supplies. So the fact that we are seeing such high volatility in these commodities now, in these staple commodities, is really, it shows the fragility of our current food security system, both in Africa and globally. So I do think we do need to go back to the drawing board and really rethink and restructure how we view exports and imports relations and the trade-off that we have between the various goods and products that we place importance on, and possibly see if we can increase the development and production of these food staples here locally. I think that would be,
And you know, when you talk about that, it just reminds me of what Russia is doing at this time. You know, in the midst of all the sanctions, we see Russia looking inwards, trying to curtail the taste of Russians to look inwards, to eat inwards, and, you know, live inwards. Isn't it possible for Nigeria, for one, you know, can we do without can we do without the imported rice? Can we do without all of those things, do you think?
Definitely not in the near term.
Not just like that.
Not just like that. It will definitely take some work together. And I do think we need to think about things such as how this would affect foreign exchange and so on like that. So we can't just get there in near term, because I mean, if the government woke up today and decided to just totally ban imports of that, we'd be in the midst of a very monumental food crisis here in Nigeria. So it's not something we can get there immediately, but then we can learn from Russia. So, I mean, looking at what's happening with Russia now, countries have not been able to totally cut Russia off, and that shows the strength and dependence that Russia has been able to build up in terms of its exports and imports power. So I do believe Nigeria can learn to get to that point. We do have the potential to get to that point.
There we
very
go
much
again.
the word
Another potential.
Exactly.
There we go again, another potential. And then, unfortunately, it seems like South Africa and Egypt may take over as the biggest economy on the continent. How close are they to us?
Ooh, they've definitely closed the gap by about over 80%. So 2014, Nigeria was flying high, about 568 billion or so in GDP. We were beating South Africa and Egypt, which were the two closest competitors, by an average of about $200 billion. Now, fast forward, 2021, Nigeria had GDP of about 441 billion. South Africa and Egypt now have about 408. They've closed the gap by over 80%. So if you look at it within that time frame between 2014 and 2021, Nigeria's GDP has declined by about 22.5%. Meanwhile, South Africa and Egypt, GDP has gone up about 30% and about 9.6% respectively. So it really shows the different routes that these different countries have taken and the results.
What have they taken that we have not taken?
In terms of, so I think the main thing goes towards Nigeria has typically taken the route of trying to achieve economic growth through debt financing. And this has really weighed on us. Meanwhile, South Africa and Egypt, yes, they have taken on debt, but then they've really focused on private sector development. They've really focused on infrastructural development. And these are things that Nigeria is currently lacking.
But the debts in Nigeria, the loans were supposed to be for infrastructural development. At least most of it, that's what's
most of it, yes. I mean, but we are not fully seeing the results of this. And it's not just debts and financing. It also goes back towards monetary policy and so in that light. So I do believe Egypt decided to float their currency in 2016. And this really allowed for their economy to become more competitive in terms of attracting foreign investment and boosting imports and exports. Now, Nigeria did not float its currency until we had the foreign exchange supply crisis that we are currently still undergoing, still facing. So that really shows the difference in terms of these two.
Okay, but you know, we also have like a large part of our economy in the informal sector, not captured. Yeah. Do you think if that was captured, it will make a difference? 100%.
It would definitely make a difference, especially if you even imagine the scale of the amount of Nigerians that are unbanked, that are not in the traditional financial system, the amount of transactions that happen per day. This is value that the country could be capturing, but then is not currently capturing. I do believe if Nigeria can focus on private sector growth, deal with some of the current issues that it's facing, poor infrastructure and so on, and then also capture security. Thank you. Security concerns especially, and also capture the value in the informal sector, we would definitely be the largest. We would definitely retain it by a very significant margin. Yeah.
All right, Alon Jidafor, thank you so much, analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we'll take a break. After that break, we'll head to the communications sector. We talked about MTN earlier. Well, not so related, but stay with us and find out. This is Business Morning on Channels Television. Welcome back. Well, from the first day of this year, there's been a directive from the Nigerian Communications Commission that the denomination of international termination rates would be in the US dollars. The House of Representatives has held a hearing with Nigerian NCC and mobile network operators, MNOs, as well as local operators, international data access operators on this. And prior to that commencement of the new NCC directive on billing in the US dollar, the IDAs paid an average rate of 29 naira 90 kobo to the MNOs per minute. And the payment due to the MNOs per minute includes VAT, regulated at 26 naira 25 kobo. The Nigerian local IDAs who are licensed by NCC to deliver this traffic to the MNOs can only run the cost of delivering the traffic and make a marginal profit within the balance of 2 naira 75 kobo per minute. Now, the MNOs were already receiving 24 naira 20 kobo. That was without the VAT. And now they have been told that they could do it in dollars. But we have a representative of the local operators with us now, Dr. Pedro Obaseki. He is an NCC licensee and the Chief Executive Officer of the African Content Company Broadcast Multimedia Limited. Thank you so much, Dr. Obaseki, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, ma'am.
So a lot of us make international calls,
yeah,
but I guess we don't really understand, I mean, the the back
backdoor
end,
mechanics.
exactly.
Yes.
Help us to understand as plain as possible.
Okay.
You know how it works.
There are two things. Free. Most of the calls that come into the country or leave the country come either through a pipe, a dedicated pipe that is licensed by the NCC, and it is carried. It's like traffic. It's like, when you make a call, it's like driving cars on the highway. Now, in that virtual highway, there are licensed companies that carry that traffic into Nigeria, and they must terminate on an MNO, a mobile network operator, and there are only 4 in Nigeria. So the 4 MNOs are known to everybody. You must have one of them as your line. Now, once it comes into the country, that cost of traffic in it is paid either by the call originator, the person who placed that call, maybe on a T-Mobile, and is calling you, or you are placing the call on your local Nigerian line.
Any of the networks that we use here in Nigeria.
Yeah, that are used here in Nigeria. And so that is how it works. The second one is you can also do it via VoIP, Voice over IP, VoIP, or Voice over Internet Protocol. And that usually affects the fidelity of signal sometimes, because it's not based primarily on the local networks, moving it from base station, mast, from one base station to the other. So once you get a call, you're actually getting a call from the nearest base station to you. So now the MNOs usually have what they call a universal access license. That's why they paid a lot of money for those licenses. But all the segments of the telecoms market, or the telecom sector, you have voice, you have SMS traffic, then you have data, in a basic sense, internet. So all these are combined, and then the NCC, the Nigerian Communications Commission, is given the power by the federal government to regulate, authorize, license the entire, it's like the central bank of everybody that operates within the sector. So they tell you how to, how not to, where not to, when to, and when not to. And anyone who contravenes any of these rules usually comes at a penalty.
Of course.
Yes.
So you have the operators who make up this value chain.
Yes.
One of whom you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the MNOs straddle that value chain.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you are in that local value chain. Now, with this directive by the NCC that, you are part of the local, so you now have to pay in dollars.
In fact, that is, I think Nigerians will understand this. We used to pay normally in Naira because we are local companies. This is a transaction between a local Nigerian company and another local Nigerian.
An MNO operating in Nigeria.
All the MNOs are in Nigeria.
Yes.
All the MNOs work in Nigeria. All the
they are licensed
by Nigeria.
By the NCC.
And yes. So, for example, I have an office. I'm an IDA, for example. I have an office on Awolowo Road. And a major MNO is at the end of Awolowo Road. So what he's not saying is now I have to pay the MNO, the mobile network operator, in dollar for a transaction that exists between two companies in Naira.
So, but the call is mostly an international call.
No, that is not. It's like because of the fact that the Nigerian crude oil is, because we are at the back end. We are at the end of the transaction. The termination. We are the downstream sector. If it was in the oil industry, it's like telling a local NIPCO or a Mobile that is selling to you a gas and telling you, because this gas was refined in another country, come and buy the petrol at the petrol station in dollar. It is not done.
So
in fact, the NCC, we are trying to tell them that, look, first of all, you cannot reinvent the wheel. There is a standing regulation. There is a constitutional provision that you are breaking. It's even criminal.
So, I mean, what have you done about it if it is unconstitutional?
Okay.
What have you done about it?
It was like, it's like almost triple jeopardy. I don't want to say double jeopardy. Number one, the NCC purportedly comes out with a policy that is dated November 25th, 2021. they call us for a virtual meeting on the 15th of December 2021. And then tell us in that meeting and on that stuff, that was the same day they published the same on their website, and say that by 31st of December 2021, that is exactly 15 days later, there will be the end of the old regime of 29 naira, which is the total package.
How long did you have this 29 naira regime before this?
Okay, the 29 naira regime was arranged in 2018. It was reaffirmed in 2018, and it was even easily broken down, so everybody knew where each person was participating in the process. So
sorry, I'm asking that to know. For instance, when it comes to power, PHCN, there's supposed to be a minor review of tariff every once in a while.
If you notice, in the last 10 years, you have never been charged a dime above 4 naira for your SMS traffic. You see, you cannot do things. You see, a business is in situ. Now, the end consumer is not being charged a dime more. I'm sure in the last 10 years, you have not been charged a naira more for a minute of call. That is the same transaction. So if, for example, there is no upward mobility in the consumer end of the transaction, there shouldn't be an upward mobility in the man who carries the traffic. Let's put it this way. You are buying Omo at the market for 50 naira. I am the transporter of the Omo, and my transport cost has been built into that 50 naira, maybe at 10 naira. You are still being charged 50 naira for buying that Omo. And now you are now telling me that I have to now pay 35 naira in carrying the Omo to you. It doesn't work. It's almost like reverse osmosis. Okay. But the major problem is, there are three major problems. When they keep talking about the dollarization and the substitution or dollarization within the Nigerian economy, which clearly violates this Central Bank Act of 2007, which makes it criminal for any company to do that. It is a minimum of 6 months imprisonment. Let's put that aside. Number two, the NCC comes up with a tariff and gives a floor. And it says the floor is now 45 cents per call. And then tells the MNOs to do as they so wish in determining what the international data access operators should pay the MNOs. And then the MNOs now decide, vaguely, to now charge us 62 cents, which is almost 17 cents above the floor mark that the NCC had prescribed. Then they did not stop there. They now charge the foreign participators who don't live in Nigeria, who also carry traffic like we carry traffic into Nigeria, and charge them 55 cents. That is, if Pedro, ACC Broadcast Multimedia Limited, we have a license, we are going to pay one of the MNOs. I don't want to mention their names for call, but people know what the MNOs are. Anybody that provides you a mobile telephone service. I will now pay them 62 cents. But the non-Nigerian who is outside of Nigeria, we pay them 55 cents, making it 7 cents costlier for a Nigerian operator to carry traffic to a Nigerian man's phone.
So what do you want?
No, this is simple. We said, you see, all over the world, there is universal access license operators, which the MNOs are made to operate what is called accounting separation. Number two, all those countries, even if you are in South Africa and you are carrying traffic into South Africa, they make this South African company pay 50% across board of the total amount that is paid by the foreign competitor. But in Nigeria, it's reverse. The local content provider, is now meant to pay 7 cents more than the... Then in that process, I am VATed, 7.5% extra. We are meant to pay commission on turnover. Then you will also pay now, if you are to do the foreign exchange transaction, you will now also pay the wire transfer fee. Meanwhile, the MNOs don't remit the monies to Nigeria. They don't pay the VAT into Nigeria. Why? Because if they get 55 cents from the foreign competitor, it is declared as a non-local transaction. So Nigeria loses out from every traffic moved into any of your mobile phones from abroad if it comes from the 55 cents licensed by the MNO to Nigeria. It's crazy. All right,
so Dr. Basaki, I believe you've been having talks with the NCC. They are the major regulator we are also trying to reach out to them to get their own side of the story. But meanwhile, you are a business operator in Nigeria.
Yes.
I know you were trying to expatiate on the impact
Yes.
it will have on the economy.
Yes.
For you as a business operator, what has this done to your business? What impact has this had?
I think it will be very disgraceful for me to actually say how I feel. But let me say this: some of us have fired our staff because we can't cope, and all the contracts we have are contracts we have signed with foreign mobile networks. They don't sign them in 2 weeks. They are signed a year ahead, 2 years ahead. So by January, all those that we are trafficking into Nigeria, we were losing on every minute of the call, 7 cents every minute. So some of us just went to the server and turned it off. So the business is down. So the business is not down, is out, is gone. So, and when I remember the president speaking to us last year and insisting that the telecom sector must have enhanced local content participation, we are only less than 5 to 7% of the total sector. And we are looking at a business that is the biggest business in Nigeria, where Nigerians are not allowed to play in the business. In January 2022, the telecom sector, Nigerians don't know, declared 257 billion for 1 month. One of the bigger players, the biggest in the Nigerian sector, makes 6.7 billion, I'm saying this on air, per day. At 75 million subscribers, if you pay only 29 naira and make only 1 minute of call per day, and Nigerians are not allowed to play in that sector. But I can tell you for free that channels cannot operate a television section like this in the broadcast and telecom sector in South Africa. Nigeria must rearrange its priority, and I think the moment to start doing that is now. The best thing that they should do, I want to appeal to the NCC and the Nigerian government, is to follow international rates. The international rate is 15 cents per minute. And they should give the local players 50% across board per that minute. That is the only way that Nigerians can play. You know, in your program earlier today, I was looking at it, and you said one of them is floating a 127 billion placement in the market. No Nigerians are there.
You have Nigerians employees and
why should Nigerians be servants in their own manner?
All right, Dr. Pedro Obaseki, Chief Executive Officer of African Content Company Broadcast Multimedia Limited. This is certainly not the end of this conversation. We're going to follow it up. We hope to have the NCC also, you know, on the show to push on this conversation.
I hope the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for sparing us your time and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
On the show this morning. Well, that was a heated conversation there with Dr. Obaseki, and we can say that this is not the end of that conversation. But now let's move to another conversation now. It's market time, and Will Ibong is standing by. Will accused me yesterday of pushing investors to sell off on their stocks yesterday. I thank God that the market still ended in the green. So, Will, I give you your market.
Oh, please, thank you. Thank you. Because I wanted, you know, to report, you know, good tidings this morning, and I did. The equities market opened the week on a bullish note as investors, you know, they were so impressed by Nigeria's breweries' Q1 earnings result. It drove the index 0.17% higher yesterday and to close at 48,543.36 points. Now we saw the equity cap at 26.17 trillion naira yesterday. Now, yesterday also we saw volume, value, and deals, you know, volume was the only downer yesterday, down by about 4%, 328.39 million units traded yesterday, value at 4.04 billion naira, and deals were about 5,000 deals yesterday. Now, we also saw the sectors. The only lone gainer was industrial goods, and we wonder what happened to that count. I think Lafarge was down yesterday, or Bossiment was down yesterday. So banking index was up 0.34%, consumer goods 2.45%, insurance 0.39%, oil and gas was also up. Now, consumer goods really was a bloomer in yesterday's trading session. Now, we have Abdurrashid Momo, trader at TLW Stockbrokers, to tell us what is going on in the market. Good morning, Abdurrashid. Hello, Abdurrashid, can you hear me? Abdurrashid, can you hear me? Okay, so just to continue what the market, yesterday also in the NASD segment, we saw a rebound in that stock, up 0.16% at 768.52 units there, points there, and then the market cap is still at 1 trillion naira. That is a good thing for the market because it's been trading below 1 trillion naira for a couple of, since last year and early part of this year. Then we saw the boost in that market, and that is really good for the OTC market. Now, volume was lower yesterday, 235,000 yesterday, value 42.43 million units, and deals about 31 deals yesterday. Now, the bond space, we saw yesterday there was a bond auction, and a total of 225 billion naira was on offer, but the DMO sold a total of 219.88 billion naira to investors, and an extra, for those that were unsolicited yesterday. But we'll go back quickly to the equities market and talk to Abdurrashid. Abdurrashid, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, great, Abdurrashid. Yesterday, the market opened bullish after 2 straight weeks of positive trading. How do you feel about this? Are we in the earnings bubble?
I wouldn't say that. One thing about the bulls, when a bull rally starts, it's always very difficult to put it down when the bulls charge. So far, we've had about 10 days of bull rallies, and I think we need to bear in mind that we just finished our end-of-year financials, payment of dividends and the rest, and we are now into the Q1, and we are beginning to see very good figures from the Q1s, which is actually translating in what we are seeing in the market. The good news I have is that the NSE has made an all-time high after so many years. There are some resistance levels I've been looking at about 48,000 points. It has broken that. Even if we see any correction now, if it can hold within that level, then we might be seeing the 50,000 points from here.
That's really good news, Abdurrashid. Now, we also saw other stocks, that pushed the market yesterday. Int'l was one of them. Int'l has been rallying since last week, coming up 10% for some days, and yesterday it was up 9.92%. People have been buying into that stock, especially with the recent announcement that Preline Limited was buying 1.3 million units of its shares. It opened, yesterday at a low of 6.65 to close at 7 naira 31 kobo. It added 6 kobo to its share price. Now, what the analysts are saying that investors should hold on to that stock and not sell at the moment. So what's your opinion on that?
Well, if really, I normally look at my technical. If you look at Eternal Oil, I think my data from about, let's say, 2010, this stock was about 9 naira before it came to about 2 naira in 2020. And from 2 naira 2020 to date, it's been going up. I think there are room that for the long term, the 9 naira bridge might be broken in the long term. But for now, I think 9 naira plus will be a form of resistant levels for now on Eternal Oil.
Okay, so what's your outlook for the rest of the week? Do you think we'll sustain this rally we're seeing in the market?
No, we are beginning to see some selling strength, but I think the bulls will there's still room for the bulls to charge. we're actually seeing some profit taking now, right? If you look at stocks that have been going like Lafarge and the rest, Lafarge was up, but we are now beginning to see offers. There was a time there were no offers at all, but we are beginning to see offers. I think some investors are beginning to see they're beginning to see good levels to take profit within where we are. Even Int'l is we have offers, but the bids are still there. The most important thing is volume. Volume is key in the market, and we are seeing a lot of volumes so far, which will still buffer the whole market up.
Okay, that's fantastic to know. Abdulrasheed Momo, stockbroker, TRW Stockbrokers. Thank you so much for coming on the program. So back to you, Ini.
Thank you.
The market is going to keep rallying, especially today. I'm just
but I hope you listened to what Momo was saying.
Yes, I
hope
took
you
the
heard
part
that.
I wanted to hear.
It's not me. It's a natural circle.
Yes, but I always stick to what I want to do.
Okay, stick to what you want.
The market's closing in the green.
Okay, all right. Yeah, thank you so much, Will. So we'll take a break now. When we come back, well, we head to London. Do stay with us. This is Business Morning on Channels Television. Yeah, welcome back. Well, yesterday we talked to Juliana, who is presently really busy covering those trade representatives from Nigeria, the delegation from the Ministry of Trade and Investment. They arrived yesterday, and they're having a series of meetings. Meanwhile, yesterday, even after the show, she sent in some interviews which she had with both the Minister of Trade and Investment, Mr. Adeni Adebayo, and the Lord Mayor of Warwick, John Taylor. They gave highlights of the expectation from the meeting, which is going to be a week-long one, and you trust that we're going to give you updates as it happened. But for now, let's see what they spoke to Juliana about their first day. That was yesterday.
These are leaders from different parts of southern Nigeria and the Middle Belt, as well as presidential aspirants from the southeast at a forum in Abuja to campaign for the presidential ticket to be zoned.
Apologies for that. We'll certainly bring you that interview in a short minute. I wonder if we have that now. Can we have...
A lot of work is going on at the moment with a view to improving our trade volumes. A major focus that we have embarked upon is the creation and establishment of more special economic zones. The whole idea is to give a comparative advantage to manufacturing in Nigeria. With special economic zones, we will have embedded power, we'll have infrastructure in place, which will make it easier and will make it more convenient for people to set up manufacturing industries. This will be the seventh in the series of meetings that we've been holding with as a result of our economic development forum between the UK and Nigeria. And we believe that it is going a long way in improving trade volumes between the two countries. It's going a long way in the cooperation that we are having. And I believe that the outcome of tomorrow's communique will will be an improvement on the sixth one that we've had. And I'm looking forward to it.
The Minister for State for Trade in Britain says this week she's going to focus more on Africa, and Nigeria needs to be at the head of the queue when getting that free trade deal. I mean, Nigeria, for example, has to compete with South Africa that doesn't have the same barriers. Nigeria has huge potential, but we have to grasp it. And I believe that as a result of this week, the British lion will roar and the Nigerian eagle will soar to even greater heights.
Well, soaring to greater heights obviously is what Nigeria is looking forward to, and we hope that will begin at those meetings there. We'll bring you updates on business and corporate, what's going on there with the meetings. I will bring that at 1:30. For now, let's head to cryptocurrency market where Ladi is standing by. I think Ladi had some smiles on his face earlier when I saw him.
Yeah.
Some of his analysts are really happy.
Remember the last conversation I had with you? I told you there'll be some kind of, relief rally, from
so
yesterday
are you a crypto
evening.
prophet now?
Well, a market prophet. You can call me a market prophet. We're seeing, a relief rally in the market, but it's the sentiment in the market now is at 27, which is fear. Yesterday we had extreme fear.
Yeah.
So this is an improvement, from yesterday, showing that, traders are being more comfortable in the market at this point, but still afraid. Market cap, $1.86 trillion, that's up 4.63%. Volume traded in the total crypto space, Bitcoin plus the altcoins, we have up 35%. And Bitcoin dominance sits at 41.34%. And we see Bitcoin having that relief rally, jumping above $40,514 this morning. It's up 5.30%. Volume traded $34.16 billion. We did see Bitcoin, get to that 38,000 support level, but we saw a relief bounce this morning. Hopefully this continues for the coming days, but we see Ethereum losing the $3,000 mark again. It did get above that yesterday, but it's lost that this morning, but it's up 6.46% this morning. Top out by market cap, it's all green on that counter. We're seeing XRP still struggling there, trying to get above that 70 cents level again. BNB, $403, that's up by 4.67%. We have Cardano there below the $1 mark, but still having a nice uptick there of 6.05% for Cardano. Let's bring in Rume Ofi now, digital market analyst. Hello, Rume. Good morning.
Good morning, Ladi. Good morning.
I see you excited, and he was right. Traders are kind of excited this morning. But Rume, there's one story I saw this morning. Everybody wants to, save for the future, have something to, fall back on, when you get old and, can't work anymore. And we're seeing one of the largest asset managers in the world, that's Fidelity, saying that 401k accounts, retirement accounts, can now add Bitcoin to their portfolio. Quite interesting, but is this good?
It is actually saving for the rainy days. You can see what is going on in the world today. Fidelity investment is not a small fry. They have been in business for about 76 years now and has asset management under their care for about 4.2 trillion worth of asset management. I quite like this. We are not saying that, use Bitcoin all through, right? Fiat is going to be there, but saving for the rainy days, you could add some Bitcoin exposure to your portfolio. It makes a lot of sense to me because the most important thing is moving with the trend of innovative technology, right? And I like the fact that one of the biggest software companies, which is getting involved in Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, with about 130,000 BTC, is the first company to use customers for this product. And I quite like it because it's going to make people think and bring Bitcoin and cryptocurrency transactions. I'm not just being particular about that, just the blockchain ecosystem entirely to mainstream media, because there are a lot that is going to change for us young people and generations to come. So it's just good that people make the necessary preparations to be able to tap in this at the early stage.
But some would argue that, with how volatile, the crypto market is and Bitcoin, it'd be quite risky, adding that to your retirement plan, don't you think?
Yeah, it's quite risky, but it is because we are quite new. This industry, for crying out loud, is just 13 years. So I'm not saying put 100% of your retirement plan, just a fraction of it exposure, right? So I love the fact that this company is been very reputable over the years. So they're saying they could manage, you could give them exposure, give customers exposure. So in other words, it means that you should put a little of your investment in it, not in the entire thing. I think it is not going to be a wise decision to put. But as going further in the future, we're going to see Bitcoin having a very stable market because the crowd will come at some point.
Right, but do you think there'll be, demand for this product?
Yeah, obviously, but it comes with the fact that some persons are more exposed when it comes to finance than some other persons, but now they'll be skeptical. Some persons will only take actions because of the fact that government has to come to give them heads on, let's all go in. But in this case, the fact that we see government establishments around the world trying to study this and a company of this repute is saying, give a little exposure, I think is something that is going to gain traction, depending on the education available out there. Yeah.
All right, we'll keep tracking to see how all of that plays out. Thank you so much, Rumi. Always great talking to you.
Thank you very much, Ladi. It's a pleasure.
All right, so looking at the top 5 gainers there, we see Dogecoin topping that counter surge about 30%. Ini, I'm sure you know why Doge is actually up this much. We saw Elon Musk again, buying Twitter this time.
He had his way.
We know how Elon loves Doge, so we're seeing that, reflected in price there. It's good news to Doge traders at this point.
And Twitter too. I mean, the stock is gaining.
Yeah, we saw Twitter actually soar yesterday night. So, yeah, that's it. Doge right there, the Elon Musk effect.
So, I mean, it's good what Rumi talked about. I'm talking about the retirement plan, because I was going to say that you always advise investors to only put in money that they
can afford to lose. And I don't know who can afford to lose a retirement.
Retirement, I tell you that. Well, thank you so much, Ladi, for that update from the markets.
Thank you.
And that's where we draw the curtains on the program Business Morning for today. Tomorrow we'll be back and we'll have a fresh new conversations for you, so to join us then. But before tomorrow, today, 1:30, we have that update from the UK. We still have the delegates from the Ministry of Trade and Investment in the United Kingdom. Now, Juliana will give us that update and other stories from the world of business. To join us at 1:30, I'm Ini John Mekwa.